Hey space fans, buckle up because we're about to embark on an awesome adventure delving into the fascinating universe of SpaceX and their mind-blowing Starship rocket. If you've been keeping an eye on the cosmic happenings, you're in for a treat, as today we're diving deep into the nitty-gritty of the third Starship test flight. It's like being on a roller coaster of innovation, and trust me, you don't want to miss a single second of this cosmic ride. So let's not waste any time and get ready to blast off into the exciting details of this groundbreaking space journey. February launch set for record-breaking test flight. Elon Musk, the person behind SpaceX, had the most powerful space rocket until NASA launched its gigantic rocket to the moon in 2022. But now, SpaceX is gearing up to reclaim the title with its exciting Starship project. In the past, SpaceX faced off some challenges with Starship's first two tests in April and November of the previous year. Unfortunately, the enormous rocket and spacecraft took off successfully, only to explode a few minutes later. Despite these setbacks, SpaceX is optimistic that Starship will soon complete an orbital flight, setting new records and making history. Here is the latest update, as SpaceX is planning to launch Starship for its third test flight in February. Jessica Jensen, the company's vice president of customer operations and integration, shared this exciting news. It seems like SpaceX is determined to overcome past difficulties and achieve a successful launch with Starship. In the upcoming test flight, the super big rocket needs a disconnect about 3 minutes after it takes off and fall into the Gulf of Mexico, as mentioned in official documents from the government. After that, the rocket is supposed to soar through space around our planet at more than 150 miles before gently landing in the waters near Hawaii. The entire journey is expected to take roughly 1.5 hours. SpaceX's Starship, historic cruise and challenges ahead. NASA has some big plans to send astronauts back to the moon. And guess what? They're teaming up with SpaceX, the company that makes those cool rockets. It's like a space dream team. So there are two missions called Artemis 3 and 4, and they could happen around 2026 and 2028. NASA wants to use SpaceX's Starship to make it all happen, and they're giving SpaceX a huge $4 billion to do it. That's a lot of money. Now before they send real astronauts, SpaceX has to show that Starship can do the job. They need to do a test flight to the moon without any people on board. It's like a practice run to make sure everything works fine. Artemis 3 is super special because it will be the first time people land on the moon since way back in 1972. Imagine that! And here's the cool part. NASA promises that this time a woman and a person of color will be the ones walking on the moon. That's history in the making! In Artemis 4, Starship might even stop at a space station called Gateway that's going to be orbiting the moon. It's like a pit stop in space. From there, Starship will go back and forth, taking astronauts to explore the moon and come back home. It's like a space taxi. NASA recently shared that they're delaying the Artemis 3 mission to the moon by about a year, pushing it to 2026. The main reason for this delay is to slow the progress of SpaceX's Starship, the spacecraft intended for this mission. In simpler terms, NASA initially planned to send astronauts to the moon in 2025, but now they've moved it to 2026 because the spacecraft they were counting on, called Starship, is taking longer to get ready. Imagine you're on a road trip and your car needs to go stop for gas. It's a bit like that. The interesting part here is that this kind of refueling in space has never been done before. It seems like NASA is not sure about Starship as they were before. During a meeting in August, a person from NASA mentioned that if there are more delays, they might have to change what the astronauts do during the mission. But before we launch into the next segment, if you're enjoying the cosmic adventure, make sure to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on our thrilling space updates. SpaceX aims for Starship's third orbital test in February 2024. SpaceX is planning to launch its Starship for the third time in February of 2024, as revealed by Jessica Jensen, SpaceX's Vice President of Customer Operations and Integration. Now, let's take a look at the previous attempts. The rocket's initial launch took place on April 20th, but unfortunately it ended up in an explosion about 24 miles above the Gulf of Mexico. The rocket didn't separate from its large booster as intended and flipped during its descent back to Earth. SpaceX explained that the self-destruct system was activated for both the booster and the ship due to some engines not firing properly. Months later, SpaceX provided a more detailed explanation. They found that the aft end of the booster caught fire from the leaking fuel, leading to a disconnection from the primary flight computer. This resulted in a loss of communication with most of the booster engines and the eventual loss of control over the vehicle. SpaceX since made improvements, implementing leak mitigations and enhancing testing procedures for both the engine and booster hardware. So, as SpaceX gears up for the third orbital test flight in February of 2024, they're armed with lessons learned from previous experiences to enhance the safety and success of the upcoming launch. It's an exciting journey filled with challenges, innovation, and the pursuit of reaching new heights in space exploration. The company stated that it made some improvements to enhance the safety measures and features of the rocket. They increased the system's effectiveness that helps control and extinguish fires on the rocket. Additionally, they strengthened the launch pad, the platform from which the rocket takes off, to make it more durable. Lastly, they added a flame deflector device, which helps redirect and manage the flames produced during the rocket launch. All these changes were made to prevent any damage that might occur during the launch process. SpaceX had some trouble with their big rockets, Starship. They tried launching it once, but it didn't go well. The rocket had to self-destruct, but there was a delay, so it broke apart due to air pushing on it, not because of the explosives. After that, SpaceX did some fixes. They improved the rocket's safety features like the fire suppression system, the launch pad got stronger, and they added something to protect it from the flames during launch. There was a long wait before they could try again because the authorities needed to ensure everything was safe. The FAA, the people who permit rocket launches, looked into what happened and asked SpaceX to make some changes. After checking with another group about the environmental impact, the FAA finally said it was okay to try again. On the second try, Starship went into the sky and did something cool. It separated the booster from the aircraft while still flying. This makes the rocket more powerful and helps it move faster, but sadly about 8 minutes later the rocket exploded. Yeah, SpaceX hasn't said yet what exactly made it explode though. So in short, SpaceX had a few problems with their big rocket, fixed them, got permission to launch again, tried some new cool things, but the rocket still blew up, and they're figuring out why. Starship launching from Texas to Florida's historic Cape. Surprisingly, Starship, the impressive rocket from SpaceX, won't be blasting off from the familiar Kennedy Space Center in Florida, where we've seen many historic launches. Instead, it's gonna soar into the skies from Boca Chica, Texas, at SpaceX's very own spaceport called Starbase. But wait, there's more! In the future, they're planning to launch it from a spot being built on the outer edge of the famous Kennedy Space Center in Florida, the same place that sent Apollo 11 on its historic journey to the moon. Now, why the change of scenery? Well, SpaceX wants to run a few trial flights in South Texas first. It's like when you practice riding your bike in the driveway before taking it on a big adventure around the neighborhood. NASA's administrator, Bill Nelson, spilled the beans, saying their plan is that they're going to do a few test flights there in South Texas. Once they have the confidence, they will bring the missions to the Cape. So picture this, Starship doing its test flights in the Lone Star State, proving it's ready for the big league, and when it's perfected its moves, it'll head over to Florida, the space launch capital, to start its official missions. It's like the ultimate rehearsals before the big show, and we're all eagerly waiting for the grand performance. And there you have it, folks. We've taken a thrilling ride through the upgrades and preparations for SpaceX's upcoming third Starship test flight, from the towering launch tower at Boca Chica to the precision upgrades in the fuel farm and the cosmic spa day for the Starship and its booster. It's clear that SpaceX is leaving no stone unturned in its quest for the stars. Now, before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. What are your predictions for this upcoming Starship launch? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you've enjoyed this cosmic exploration with us, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you're the first to know about all things space related. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars, stay curious, and remember, the adventure doesn't end here.